This is your one-stop shop to using the Super Bowler Smash here at Town Hall 14 and how you can get a 3-star on any type of base and of course how to fix your mistakes. So let's first go over the base plan. Starting with anti-3, it's a pretty simple approach. One side with the Flame Flinger, this is usually to get something like an Inferno Tower. On the other side, you mainly want to use the Warden Walk to funnel. This could also include maybe something like an Inferno Tower, and then having the Super Bowlers work through the middle of the base. This will allow you to remove a lot of defenses as you work through the core and over to the Town Hall, where you'll then use a Royal Champion on the back end, clearing out a side that you may have missed, and that way you can easily clear through the rest of the base. Now, anti-3s on the other hand have the Town Hall directly in the center. What you'll do is you'll use the Flame Flinger on one side of the base just to clear defenses, the Warden Walk on the other side to clear and create a funnel, and then have the Super Bowlers work through the core. They should get over to the Town Hall, and they may or may not die depending on the spells that you have and the circumstances. Outside of that, you'll use the Royal Champion and alongside your CC Hog Riders to clear through the rest of the base. Similar to the other two, in terms of a box base, you're using the Flame Flinger just to clear one side. Typically, this is to remove a couple defenses and then maybe moving down to an Inferno. On the other side, you'll be using your Warden Walk just to clear buildings from the outside and have the Super Bowlers go to the core. Usually this is where you can remove the Town Hall alongside the Eagle Artillery. Either way, you should be able to remove both of them since they're in range within the core. But also, let's not forget the army comp with the CC, which you'll see on screen here. Now let's explain more in depth on how to use it. And the example, despite being an anti-3, is very flexible on all bases like I mentioned in the base plan. What you're going to start off with is the use of the Flame Flinger on one side of the base. Be very careful of Expos and Mortars. Erwin here did a perfect job of identifying where to drop in that Flame Flinger. Since there were no ground or air and ground expos near that Inferno Tower, he could easily remove that compartment. On the other side, he's got the Warden Walk, using a couple balloons to look for seeking air mines, while also making sure that he's able to create a solid funnel. He's working in to remove not just these point defenses and the air defense to create better funneling, but also to remove the Inferno Tower, which can be a little bit more risky, but in this case, since there weren't that many structures near it, it provided more value. This also allows him to create a much better funnel where everything can actually work into the most dangerous area, the core. So using this, it allows him to not worry about too many point defenses, and it allows him to easily go into a safe area and clear the Inferno. Now, the next part of your attack is going to be luring over your Grand Warden. You will use wall breakers if you have them available in order to break open a wall, but if not, you can always bring in the use of 2 jump spells. The first jump is going to be used to get into the core and allow yourself to deal with something like the Eagle and Scattershot, since they're usually around that area. You can of course deal with the enemy CC, which is why you need the Queen in there, otherwise your Super Bowlers are going to be toast. And outside of that, you'll use another jump spell to get over towards the back end Town Hall, or to get across the base. Outside of that, your free spells that you can bring is going to allow you to freeze up things like the Town Hall, or any other defensive structures that are going to be a nuisance to your Super Bowlers. The reason going in away from the Town Hall is better is the Town Hall poison, and we'll get to that in just a few. But you'll use the Royal Champion as well, and Erwin does a great job at using the Royal Champion not towards the Inferno, but using it leading up to it, which allows him to use the Royal Champion ability a little bit more effectively, and it also allows him to get a lot more buildings down before using that ability, which then allows him to clean up the rest of the base. And while this is a pretty tried and true method of 3-starring, you will fail with one of these 4 mistakes. One of the most early mistakes you'll make is the Flame Flinger, not using it, but placing it in a certain area. Since Mortars and Expos are the only defenses that can actually outrange it, it is something to be very careful about. So I would recommend bringing in something like Giants or Yetis or something a little bit tanky to distract for the Flame Flinger. It just allows you to save a lot of HP, since that HP is not a lot other threats, such as Teslas, giant bombs, and even the skeleton traps. These are all things that you need to be very careful about. So I would recommend bringing a balloon to look for Teslas and to destroy them, alongside bringing a wizard or Valkyrie to pull any other traps or even removing the ground skeleton traps. This will make it a bit more consistent for you to clear through without having to worry about losing a ton of HP on your Flame Flinger. Now, the Warden Walk also has some big mistakes, like not using the Warden Walk in particular. Using a Queen Walk is not really what I would recommend. It's probably the least favorite option in terms of all smash attacks, and Super Bowlers is no exception, so don't use it because you have to waste resources funneling that queen than you would just funneling or using the Grand Warden and then luring him over. Keep in mind as well is that you should never start the Warden Walk in a tough location where there are 3 to 4 point defenses, or even high value defenses such as a single Inferno or Scatter Shot, because they can do massive damage alone, and pairing that up with any other defenses is really going to spell trouble for your Grand Warden. So keep that in mind while you're actually using the Warden Walk, so make sure to use it in a safe location so you can get much more value and lure him over with the rest of your main push. Speaking of your main push, the Super Bowlers should never be thrown into the Town Hall Poison. Since it can absolutely obliterate both healers and Super Bowlers, it means that you will want to keep them out of range of it. And either way, going into it, even with the Grand Warden ability, the effect will still linger, so don't do it. Instead, what you will want to do is attack away from it. I told you this in the actual breakdown phase of this video, where sending in away from the Town Hall, it allows you to not worry about the Town Hall Poison towards the end, and it just makes it far easier where a lot more of your troops can stay alive. Keep in mind that this is not going to be the same thing for every base, especially ring bases where you have to go in for the Town Hall. So more than likely, you're just going to have to hope that your Super Bowlers can clear the core and clear a larger amount before they die out, so you can use your Royal Champion and anything else alive to clear through the rest of the base. And of course, the Royal Champion, you are going to have mistakes with it, especially with the spells you bring to support her. One of my biggest mistakes in one of my attacks was I brought invisibility spells, thinking this would work incredibly well against a single target Inferno, and it would make my life 10 times easier. No, it wasn't. It actually was not the best play since I had no use for the final invisibility since the Royal Champion did die off. So instead, I would highly recommend either using the Skeleton spell, which distracts for a longer period of time and it distracts more than just one building, but it can also be used to pretty much allow your RC to work through, and they're relatively cheap. Same thing with the free spells. They're relatively cheap. And not only that, but they're really good in general for both your Super Bowlers and also for your Royal Champion if you want to use them left over. They can be used to pretty much stop any single Inferno and any other defenses, since free spells relatively are sensitive to their ranges, and you could easily miss a building depending on where you place it. However, if you're a fan of air attacks, check out my Town Hall 14 Blizzard Lalo breakdown if you want to give that a shot, and I'll be catching you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.